In this video, I'm going to share with you why you're getting exhausted instantly after swimming and what you can do to change it so you can swim further, you can swim easier, and you can look good while you do it too. First thing is usually the way that you breathe. Now, if you watch someone just walking down the street and you watch how they're breathing, they're not taking a big breath of air in, holding onto it for 5 seconds, and then exhaling. It's just not a natural way to breathe. So when we get into the water, sometimes people breathe in that kind of way, and it causes them to tire very, very quickly because they end up just topping up their lungs each and every time they take a breath without expelling enough air. So the aim there is to take your breath in, have a gradual exhale of air through your nose or through your mouth, and then just before you turn your head to get the next breath, release the remainder of the air. Because that way we can actually clear the lungs and we can make sure that we've got a fresh breath of air each time. Now, the second thing that might be causing you to tire instantly is you might be trying to get a pedicure when you swim. If your feet and legs and toes are dragging along the bottom of the pool or they're close to it, then that uses so much more energy that you're going to tire within a short space of time, 25 or 50 meters. So the aim is to try and get horizontal, because the number one thing we've got to do when we swim is reduce drag. We've always got to start with that, because it doesn't matter how fit or how strong you are. If you are swimming in this type of way, you're going to use 5, 10, maybe 20 times more effort to move yourself forwards. Now, I get swimmers come to me, particularly guys, and they say, "Oh, look, I don't float. I just cannot possibly float." But the thing is, everyone can float in the water if they're in the right position. So if you take a big breath of air in, fill up your lungs, and then go into a ball, you'll find that you float. No matter what your body type is, no matter what the distribution of muscle versus fat through your body is, everyone can float in that way if they're tucked up into a ball. Now, everyone's got different buoyancy profiles depending on the length of their torso, their muscle mass, bone density, all these sorts of things. But everyone can float in that ball. Now, the reason for that is your lungs are what provides the buoyancy. So you fill your lungs up, then you've got that buoyancy through the chest. So you've got 3 main levers I see that will help you be horizontal in the water. You've got one is your head position. So making sure you're looking anywhere from straight down to 45 degrees and just tucking the chin in slightly. The second thing you've got is your lungs. You need to press your chest into the water a little bit to help raise your hips and legs. Now, the third one is the tension that you've got through your backside and your hamstrings. You need to have a little bit of tension to help keep the bum up and keep the hips nice and high in the water. So those 3 things, your head, your chest, and your tension through the backside and hamstrings, that's what's going to help you be horizontal in the water. And that takes some time and some practice and exploration to build that body awareness. But if you get that right, your swimming can be so much easier. And you might think you've got okay body position, but with the amount of swimmers I work with, very few of them have. Most people can improve their body position when they swim. So that's number 2. Now, the third thing that might be causing you to tire very quickly is you might be swimming short. Let's say you're 5'10". You might be swimming like you're 4'5". Now, as I go to the pool, I often like to watch people swim. And a lot of people don't swim tall and swim long. They're swimming too short. One, think about R&R, and the second thing is H to T. So R&R is reach and rotation. When you're on your side in freestyle, I want you to reach forwards and rotate on the side. That way you can get another couple of inches in terms of your length through the body if you reach up with your arm and you rotate on the side. Think of it like reaching for the cookie jar up top. A lot of swimmers, they stop here. They don't straighten their arm, they don't rotate enough. So we need to get that reach and rotation. Secondly, it's H to T, so head to toes. We need to feel like we're almost being pulled up from above. So our head all the way through our body through to our toes is long, and there's a bit of tautness. So if you think about having a rope, you don't want that rope to be slack. You want that rope to be taut. And imagine that rope all the way through the body. Pull that taut so you're long all the way through. Because I see swimmers just swimming short, rounding through their shoulders, and just not getting the length that they need. And that's going to make your strokes a lot shorter, so you've got to take more of them. And you're not going to be as streamlined either. Now, the fourth thing that might be causing you to tire is that you might not be getting much propulsion from what your arms are doing. It might be like you're a boat, but you've only got a paddle to work with. We want to put in this engine that can help really drive you forwards in this motor. Now, the mistake a lot of people make is that when they go through their first part of their stroke, so their catch, their fingers are pointing forwards the whole way, and they push down on the water, and they're not getting their fingers to point down and then having their hand and forearm, which is your big paddle, they're not having that press back. Now, a way that you can increase the size of your paddle that you're pushing back with, I want you to think about having open underarms or open armpits and then closed armpits. So as you're reaching out and extending forwards, we're nice and open through here. When you go through that first part of your catch where your fingers point down and you bend your elbows, think about keeping a big open underarm. That's going to give you this nice big paddle to work with. Then as you start to move back and you get towards your hips, you're closing up your armpit. So open and then closed. And that can help you just have a bigger surface area to work with. We go into a lot more detail with the catch in our 5-day catch challenge, which I'll put a link to below. The other side of that is you need momentum with your arms moving through the water. When people are doing swimming, they're new to it, they're trying to figure it out, they're thinking about so many things, and they end up swimming very robotically and very stiff and rigid. Now, for you to move forwards, we need to have our arm starting slow out in front and speeding up out the back. So you need to accelerate through the water. If you're going through slowly, all at the same pace, you're not going to get much propulsion. And likewise, if you're just pulling through really quick, you're going to slip and you're not going to get a hold of that water. So think of it as being a little bit slower out the front, a bit quicker out the back. So you're accelerating through, and you'll feel the propulsion that comes from it. So we need to have that acceleration each time. And when you get that acceleration, it helps keep the effort level down because you're actually moving yourself forwards. Now, the fifth thing, and this is really one of the main ones that I see, is people use their kick to propel themselves forward, and they're trying to get the majority of their propulsion from kicking hard. Now, that's all well and good if you're a boat and you've got that motor and propeller out the back, but swimming, we're a little bit different than that. The kick is more for your balance and timing. It's there to support you. It's not there to propel you. Now, yes, if you're a sprinter, you'll be kicking hard and all those sorts of things. But for most adults, most triathletes, the kick is there just to support you for balance and timing. It's your arms, it's your rotation, it's the coordination of those things that's going to help move you forwards. The kick is there just for support. So make sure the effort level of your kick is quite low. Now, it doesn't mean that you're kicking slow and kicking very without any tempo. You can still kick down with a flick to the foot that's very comfortably, but make sure the effort going into it is relatively low. Now, the last thing, and I don't hear a lot of coaches talking about this, is the mental load that us as adults tend to put on ourselves when we're swimming. So as we're trying to work out what do we need to do to move forwards, how can I be more efficient, we tend to overthink. And it's this overthinking and this mental load that can actually cause you to use a lot of effort. Now, swimming is so much about the feel of the water and just being aware of how your body feels, where you're sitting, that pressure on the hand and the forearm. It's about the feeling, not about thinking too much. So what I want to encourage you to do if you're watching this is get out of that thinking brain a little bit, go into that feeling brain a bit more, and just switch off slightly when you're swimming, because it's just so easy to overthink and put too much of a mental load on yourself when you're swimming. And then we don't move very well. So at least for part of your session, just go by feel. Just enjoy the feeling of being in the water, feeling the water rushing down past your ears, past your shoulders, the pressure on the hand and forearm, that flick of the foot, the tempo that you get, the rhythm that you get there. It's about the feeling. So it's certainly good to think about things just to make sure you're getting some of the technical stuff right, but step out of that brain a little bit and just go by feel. And you'll find you start to figure some things out because you build that body awareness.